everybody, Laura here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a fun little project to share with you that is featuring the Under the Sea Animals stamp set by Simon Says Stamp. So here's the stamp set, and what I'm going to do is take one of these basic square dies. It's one of the smaller ones. It's not the smallest, but one of the smaller ones, and I'm going to use it to create a window panel that can frame 4 of those cutie patootie sea animals. So what I'm doing here is die cutting this square die. I'm going to use the same square die and die cut it 4 times into some scrap cardstock. Now once I get 4 of these squares, I'm going to adhere these onto this panel of white cardstock. And this panel is going to be what I end up popping up over top of a cream card base. So I knew I wanted my squares to be evenly spaced and centered, but I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I came up with this little technique, what I'm doing here, adhering the scrap squares. I can shift them and move them around until they're centered and evenly spaced. And then I use that as a guide. I take that same square die, pop it right over top of the existing die cut, and run it through. And I just do this for each one. It kind of like snaps right in place over the existing die cut. See how it just like pops in there? And this way I know I'm getting it spaced, aligned, and all that jazz. Sometimes when you get these cute stamp sets like this Under the Sea Animals, it's like you either want to use all of them or you have to pick a few of them. And unless you're going to build like a scene, a beach scene or a sea scene, you gotta frame them or house them or do something like that. So this is what I came up with. And then the tough choice of picking 4. You would not believe how hard it was for me to decide which 4 to use. I went round and round. They're all so cute. So I decided on the octopus, the starfish, the crab, and the snail. And so I'm using Copic markers to color them in. I sped this up, as you can see. I've got my marker caps there if you want to know exactly what colors I used. I think you could color these in with lots of different mediums. I almost used my Zig clean color markers. I think that would be real quick and easy. I have seen some people do amazing things with watercolors and incredible things with the color pencils. Have you seen the color pencil magic people are doing on dark cardstock? It's amazing. And then the no line coloring. I'm just being honest. I've never even tried no line coloring. Just the thought of it makes me break out in hives. But so I'm doing what I feel comfortable with is the old Copics, the old standby. What I did was what I always do. I Google whatever I'm coloring. Like for this, I Googled cartoon crab. And I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Laura, you don't know what the color of crab is? Come on, girl. But I just want to see some options. Just get some inspiration. Get the mojo a-flowing. And honestly, when you start Googling sea creature, like cartoon sea creatures, you can do any color under the sun, honey. I'm telling, like snails. I saw just rainbow colors of snails. And honestly, the snails I see around here in Illinois, they're the color of puke. But I was going for a happy blue and an orange snail. And that suited this card just perfectly because I hadn't used those colors on the other animals. Just covering all the bases. Hey, but no discrimination against the pukey snail because they're adorable too. So I use the coordinating dies to die cut each one of these little sea creatures out. And then next we're moving on to the sentiment. Instead of using a sentiment from this Under the Sea Animals, I chose to pull out an older stamp set. This is from the You Matter stamp set. So it's got the You Are Pretty Amazing. And I'm using this grid transparency because the You and the Are Pretty Amazing are 2 different stamps. You ever try to fit 2 stamps together to make one sentiment? It can be a little tricky. So I pulled out the grid transparency and it helped me to center it and to get it straight. And then you can even stamp it on the transparency and see what you're actually going to get. And I use this little trick all the time because after all the effort I put in to get that square window panel, I did not want to jack up the sentiment. You know what I'm saying? Because my eyelashes would have melted right off my face if I had to redo that. Got the sentiment stamped on there perfectly. Popping up the panel onto a cream card base. I love using white and cream together. It's like a neutral on neutral, but it's happy, it's warm, And the neutral background really allows for these colorful sea animals to pop. Almost makes you want to break out in something from The Little Mermaid, you know? Under the sea, under the sea. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.